You can see the tiniest little seed popping up right there. That is Lisianthus after, how long has it been, a week? 10 days? Hello, welcome back. And we are back to seed starting in January. I'm gonna get some seed starting stuff done for this week. So I thought I would do that while I chatted a little bit about what seeds I'm starting in all of January, and then also kind of maybe go through quickly how I organize when I'm going to start everything. So you kind of have an idea if you want to plan your garden, a little bit of how I do that. I obviously have a lot that I have to go through because I have a lot of different things I start, but if you have a smaller garden, it's a good place to start kind of organizing and scheduling it yourself to get some practice and start your own garden too. You may not even have anything that you need to get started yet, but it is coming. In the next couple of months, seed starting is coming, even if it's just tomatoes or peppers or whatever. So also something new since my last video is that we have a new member of the family. His name is Obadiah, and he is a week old today. He was born on New Year's Eve. Long labor, but once he was ready to come, he came very quickly and very fast. So I'm healing well, and the baby's doing good. All three kids are adjusting well. We're very thankful for the little blessing that we have. And this morning, in this January, which this winter has been pretty cold so far, and now January seems like it's going to be pretty snowy, I'm going to show you what the outside looked like this morning here in Vermont. So we're going to go ahead and get started with jalapenos. I'm going to do first. So I keep a few jalapenos for myself, and then the rest I sell at the farm stand. They were pretty popular last year. So I am going to go ahead and sow, let me see. I have a packet of 50 seeds. I'm not going to sow all of those, but I'm probably going to sow 40 just because they're not all going to germinate perfectly. So I'm going to keep about 6 for myself probably, and the rest I'll put out at the farm stand to sell. Your hot peppers, you can start this early in January. They're not quite the same as your bell peppers. Those I'm going to start a little bit later. I believe that's in March. I'm going to get started on those. Oh, and I gotta count 18. So I need get those started in March, but the jalapenos need a little bit more time. I especially start them early because I'm selling them at the farm stand, and so I need to make sure that they are big and bulky and look good to put in a garden. So they need to have a little bit more growth maybe than just if you were putting them in your garden. So you could wait a little bit, but really sometime in January, I'm at the beginning of January right now, but sometime in January, you need to go ahead and start those jalapeno seeds if you're going to get them started. They germinate so well, and they are so easy to grow. Like, they really are. So if you're looking for something easy and you know that you're going to use jalapenos, I definitely highly suggest doing jalapenos for sure. Eventually, probably in March or April, I will be potting these up into individual pots, into like 4-inch pots, because they'll be that big. But for now, I'm just putting them into 6-packs, and they will grow on like that for a while. They would prefer to have a heat mat underneath them. I do not have any heat mats available right now because my Lisianthus is still needing those heat mats. They all haven't germinated the way I would like to yet. So they'll be fine even without the heat mat. It's just going to take them a little bit longer to germinate. The other things I'm doing today are rosemary and oregano. And I'm also going to start some geraniums. So I started geraniums in January of last year for the first time, and boy, did that go really well. They were just beautiful. I want them blooming by the time that it's time to put them out, which around here, our last frost date's about the middle of May. And so I want the geraniums almost blooming by then so that I can put them out and show people what they look like to purchase. And they were great. This was the beginning of January. It was perfect timing to be able to get those blooming by the time that I needed them to bloom. Okay, jalapenos are done. I have all of my other 6 packs filled up with moistened seed starting mix, and I have all of them labeled. So all I got to do is just put the seeds in, put the plastic wrap over, and it's done. I'm doing 12 cells of rosemary, 12 cells of oregano, and then 24 cells of geranium. I only got 25 geranium seeds. It is the, let's see what it's called again, Maverick Apple Blossom from Johnny's. I don't know why I didn't get 2 varieties. I should have done that, but I'm not going to worry about it now because it's going to be too late to sow them if I order anything else. So we're just going to stick with what we got. So when I am starting my seed starting schedule, thinking about those type of things, the first thing you have to think about, and you're going to be like, well, duh, but the first thing you have to think about is, what do I want to grow? So as in tomatoes, whoops-a-daisies, peppers, cucumbers, what types of flowers, those types of things. So you gotta get that nailed down. And you say, well, duh, of course you do. But it's easy to start looking at catalogs and pick out 40 different things and then realize that you don't really have a plan. You don't want to do that. You want to start with what do I really want? And then go into, okay, what varieties do I want of these things? What varieties of tomatoes, what varieties of cucumbers are we going to eat? What varieties of peppers, or I should say what colors of peppers am I going to want? What herbs do I want, etc. And where am I going to put them? Have a plan for where I'm going to put them. Because then you start all these seeds, then you don't have anywhere to put them. That's also problematic as well. Ooh, that's nice. Oregano, surface sow. Okay. So that's the first thing. Then once I have all of that, basically I just kind of brainstorm and I write it all down. And then once I got all that down, I organize it. Once it's realistic, I guess I should say. I organize it. And I organize it into groups of when it needs to be started. So things that are 10 to 12 weeks before my last frost date. Things that are, ooh, those are teeny tiny. This is the oregano seeds. I forgot how tiny these were. I'm just going to sprinkle them. Things that are 6 to 8 weeks before last frost date, so on and so forth. And there are also things that they will say, you know, do it this long before your last frost date, but you really could do it before then. Like, for example, onions would be a good example of that. I could have even gone ahead and started my onions in December. Oh, I did start my onions in December. Go me. At the end of December, I started them. And so, but it wouldn't say that on the package. If I actually calculated it out, it wouldn't be until like February. But I think it's going to work a little better doing it in December. Same thing for like Lysianthus, for example, again, if I actually calculated it based on the actual package, it would only be late January, I think, or something like that, based on my last frost date. But I'm going to put them out in March. And so I need to have them going before what the back of the seed packet says. So I start, and those are just kind of things that you have to honestly just research on your own. Like, you have to either Google and you'll find some information, or there's just You know, there's so much stuff on YouTube that will help you specifically with how do I start whatever, snapdragons, how do I start geraniums, how do I start whatever. You get so much information on all of those things. And they're very helpful to you when you do a little bit of research. I always research, especially with flowers, research the different varieties that I have of flowers, and so that I can learn exactly when the best time is. These things that I'm starting today, I'm really starting because they take so long to bulk up. They're just slow growing plants, and so they need a little bit of a head start. Okay, so then you've got them grouped into your groups of how far before your last frost date. Oh, and another little tip that I do as well is that I, that was more than, I'm going to do one more 6-pack because that was more than 25. Yay. Thank you, Johns. I do more than what's suggested. So if it's 6 to 8 weeks, honestly, I'll start them at 10 weeks just because it'll give me a little bit of a head start, but also because, you know, sometimes stuff just doesn't work out the way you think it's going to work out. And that at least gives you a little bit of a buffer to try to, if something happens or something makes a mistake, or like, you know, you forget to water, something happens and you forget to water it, you know, for 4 days and they all die, and you come downstairs and it's all dead, you still have time probably to do it again. So that gives you a little bit of help with that. Not that I've ever done anything like that, you know, but gives you a little bit of a buffer. All right. Then after you have everything grouped together, I take literally a calendar, like just a blank calendar, and count. And I'm like, okay, this is probably my last frost date, which in my area is in the middle of May. I will be able to tell once the beginning of May comes if it's going to be sooner or later than that. But I'll just start all my calculations from that. And then you just count. 6 weeks before your last frost date, these are going to get started. 8 weeks before my last frost date, these are going to get started. 10 weeks. 12 weeks, so on and so forth. And so then you have your little calendar. And what I do is I list on Monday what all of the seeds that need to be started for that week are. And that I don't necessarily get that all done on Monday. It's just that this week I need to get these seeds done. And so this week was jalapenos, rosemary, oregano, and geraniums. And those are the ones that need to get done this week based on my calculations from my last frost date, which is in the middle of May. Now here's a little graphic right here of all of the ones that are going to get started in January. And I have a list right behind me too. Let me grab that hold on. And so I got this week done, and then next week I'm going to be doing snapdragons and sweet peas. And the snapdragons that I'm doing are, I got the apricot, that's a group 1, Costa, that's a 2, the Potomac, I'll have to write it down, and then what's the other rice? Oh, the early sunrise. The early sunrise is 2-3. So then the Potomac is a 3-4. Got it. Those are my groups of snapdragons. So I'm going to have 200 snapdragons that I'm starting. We'll see how they go. Then I have sweet peas, which I got the Elegant sweet peas at Johnny's. 2 packs of those. And those are kind of fun to start. Last year I started them in the ground, and they did fine, but I just didn't have very much control, obviously, over the weather. And it was a lot wetter than I wanted it to be, and the temperature fluctuated a lot. So in here, I can keep them exactly how I want them. and how much water I want them to have and that kind of thing. And then the next week after that, I'm doing Blue Plurum. I've never done Blue Plurum. It looks really pretty. I'm going to give it a shot and see if I like it as a filler flower. It's a flower that likes to be in the cool, so I'm going to be putting it out in the middle of March or beginning of April, depending on the weather. And then that is all that I am starting for January. And the only other note that I have, which this is why you have a little calendar, you can't see it very good, but I have my calendar right here on my iPad with all of these things written down. And on the last week of January, I need to put my larkspur seeds in the freezer. And I don't want to forget that, so I wrote it down. So having a little handy dandy notebook or calendar to write everything, I would really suggest a calendar, so you don't just have scribbles everywhere, is really helpful, especially when you have a lot to do. Help you keep track of what you've done, make notes, and then you can refer back to it the next year and wonder, okay, was this a good time for me to start it, or did it not work very well and I need to change it a little bit? So the only thing I have left to do with these are these 2 extra packs right here that didn't fit in my 1020 tray. That's okay. I'm gonna mist all of these with my spray bottle. Guys, seed starting doesn't have to be expensive, super expensive, or difficult. This is just a $1.50 spray bottle from Walmart. And then I don't use the humidity domes because I don't want to buy them. I just use plastic wrap, and it works really, really well. All of these would prefer a heat mat. My heat mats are not available. I'm not going to buy any more heat mats right now. You're going to be fine. I will kind of prop them up towards the light a little bit, like put a box on the shelf and put them on top of the box so they're closer to the light, so they get a little bit warmer than if they weren't on top of the box. And there we go. Next week, I am planning on sharing with you, as long as I can get it done, all the flower seeds that I am going to be starting this year, letting you know when I'm starting them and how I plan on getting them out into the field, how I think they'll work. Some of them are new for me to start, and some of them are not. Some of them I've done before and have been successful with. So you could be looking for that video next week. But guys, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something today and you enjoyed it. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please try to do that, because it definitely helps me out and shows that you appreciate the work that I'm doing to share with you guys. And until next week, I'll see you then. Happy growing. Bye-bye.